Hey Bronze Brigade. So every week I select 5 comic books from all the hot lists out there, and I choose my top 5 not to buy, the 5 worst comic book investments, just in my opinion, for that week. Well, this is the flip side to that. So I also look at the prices for 6 months and 1 year later for those comic books. And what's up? It's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 not to buy list from June 3rd, 2022. So we're essentially 13 months later, 1 year later on those books. Let's check out the values of those comic books today. Now, how this is going to work is for every one of those comic books, I'm going to pull up the cover price page, the Go Collect page, the comicspriceguide.com, Overstreet Access, and eBay sold listings, so we get a really wide net on the value of those comic books. I'll show you guys all the values I see so you can make your own decisions on what the value is for that comic book, and I'll kind of offer my judgment of how I think it did. So first up on the list, we are going to look at Something is Killing the Children, number 21. This is the Whatnot sketch variant, which I didn't have much faith in. Let's see how it performed. So here you can see this is the Tyler Kirkham Whatnot black and white sketch. On cover price right now, we have a current no trend for this. There's actually no slab sales available, so that'll kind of save us some time looking at that. Looking at the raw sales, there is not much listed here. Actually, one sold back in May for $15. Before that, it was selling for like 25 bucks. Doesn't look good so far. How about on Go Collect? Go Collect. There is 11 on the census, but there's none sold. That's a first for me seeing that. So there's 11 on the census for Universal and 11 Signature Series books. Let's look at those Signature Series. This is a little unusual because these are signed, obviously, but 1 year average on these is $79. Last sold is $96. Before that, you had one sell for $63. So that's where you're getting your average. Make of that what you will. Okay, over here on comicspriceguide.com, they have a 9.8 as being worth $45 raw and $135 graded. Those are very different numbers from what we saw on the other two sites. Over on Overstreet Access, they have a lot of variants loaded for this one, including that's a Comic Mint and a Comic Tom. This one's not available yet. They're still loading in a lot of variants. Let's move on to eBay sold listings. Over on eBay sold, best offer accepted less than $22 for a raw, $25 for a raw. That one's signed, by the way. $15. And then just scroll down and see if there's any others down here that are actually that book that got pulled into this. I don't see any. So I think there's the pack for less than 40. So I did find one more sale. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything else. So looking at that, definitely think that that one was a good choice not to buy. It definitely hasn't appreciated in value like a lot of Whatnot exclusives. Let's take a look at Catwoman 43. This is the Souza Micah 1 in 25 variant. This was a very hot cover when it came out on that string of Catwoman variants she did. This one is currently, barely down. Most common grade is a 9.8, and we do have slabbed sales for this. Looking at slabbed, we can see that this sells for $200 in April is the last sale. That does seem fairly consistent. There's a couple sales that are lower. The last time I had a sale that was higher than that was essentially back in summer of 2022. So about a year ago. But when I made the video, the next 9.8 sale after I made the video was $405, $404, $393, $305, $227, $210. And then except for this one $400 sale and this $300 sale, then they all start to drop again. 210, 207, 200, 152, 177, 117. And now it's kind of stabilized around 200, which 200 is nothing to sneeze at for a 1 in 25. This is still obviously a really well-liked cover, but it's about half of what it was going for right after I made the list. So that's still a very big drop in value. I mean, think about that. You could go buy that now twice for what you would have paid for it back then in a 9.8 already slabbed. Looking at Go Collect, I have a feeling we're going to see similar values over here on Go Collect. Their current 1 year average is 177 and their 90-day average is 159. I can kind of, let you pause and look at the sales here if you want to check those for yourself, but that's the, the averages, and you can see the trend there. Tells the story. Comicspriceguide.com for the 9.8, which I realized I looked at a 9.8 for both values on the last book. Usually I look at 9.4 for raw because I feel like that's a really good, kind of entry-level near mint book. This would be $80 according to them, but for a 9.8 graded, it'd be $360. Seems a little high compared to the prices I've been seeing for this one, but there you go. Overstreet Access has this one listed at, and this is all raw. They'd say a $45 for a 9.8. Sold listings here on eBay $81 for a 9.6, $145 for a Raw back in March. And that one's $84 from the UK, so like $110 shipped back in July. Oh, that's actually in July. So that's newer than this sale. That's a little odd. June 1st, a 9.8 signed for $720. That's very healthy. I mean, we're not really looking at Signature Series, but that's surprising, especially since this one just about a month and a half before that sold for like half of that. I wonder if that's the same book. I'd have to go look at the certification numbers. 129, 76, and then 200 for a 9.8. So there's that 9.8 sale we're probably poking at there. Look, and I knew this would be the case for this book. It's clearly still something that people care about. It's a very cool cover. Definitely a very talented artist in Sizzle Micah here. But just having from its original value tells me a lot. So that's kind of where I'm at with this one. Look, that advice kind of paid off. A year later, you can buy that book for half of what it was going for. There you go. Unless you're looking for a Signature Series, apparently, because those still go for bananas money. Okay, we're diving into Thor God of Thunder #1. Now, the first two books were just really hot covers, right? Hot Tyler Kirkham, Something That's Killing Children cover, and then obviously a very nice ratio variant from that great series she was doing, but neither was a key. This is movie-based MCU spec. This is Thor God of Thunder #1. This is the first mention of Gore the God Butcher. It's also the first Old King Thor and the first Black Berserkers. And this book is currently trending down. Most common value for this one is $102 and 9.8 slabbed, and then $14 for a raw. Let's check these out real fast. Slabbed, so let's see. Can I go back to July of 22? So it looks like it sold for, wow, one sold in June for $600. Okay, so looking at slabbed, right before I made the list, it was selling for $155. And then $155, $62, $79, $600, $109, $115, $63, $67, $232. That's a bit interesting. That's in July. $55, $120, $71, $57, $67, and then $120 in June of last month. So that's actually bounced back quite a bit, but it is also just one sale. We kind of need to see if there's going to be a trend there, but maybe coming back a little bit. For the raws, let's look at that near mint category, and was 16, 20, 22, any high, 27, 30, 35, and then like some cover price sales, 25. Yeah, it's definitely gone down, but there's still some higher sales. But for the most part, I mean, like $1.25, $4.88, $8.99, $2.51, $4, $3.25, $6.29. I mean, that's not that crazy. Go Collect has this one at a current FMV of $83 for the 1 year average and $68 on the 90-day average. Yeah, you can see this right here. Like it actually kind of bounced back a little bit. Oh, that goes back to 2019, so never mind. That actually would be, yeah, kind of peaking right around the time I made the list. And then it's fallen down since then. So there you go, according to Go Collect. ComicsPriceGuide.com, a graded 9.8 is $86. The near mint 9.4 is $10. Overstreet Access has this one at a 9.4 being $20. Over on eBay sold. Cracked case, let's take that one out of the equation. There's that $6.29. That is a second print. That's the trade paperback. Sets, a lot of sets for this probably. $16 for one. That was in July. 40 from the UK. Those always get a little weird. 25. There you go. $25.95. That's a pretty good high raw sale for that. That's for the trade. $5 in June on an auction. Less than 25. So look, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this one it's interesting that it came back a little bit on a couple of sales. But, think about the advice, right? Like when I made the video, if you rushed out and FOMO bought this, were you getting a good deal? Probably weren't getting ripped off, it looked like, unless you were buying a 9.8 slabbed. But you had plenty of opportunities between then and now to pick up this book for a fraction of what you would have paid for it back then. All right, now let's look at one of the hardest books for me to find on any site that I go to do price analysis for. This is 68, as in 1968. #1, which that's just a very hard thing to search for on some of these sites. This is currently slightly trending down. Same thing I think I found on the 6 month later. I don't have any slab sales. And raw, yeah, there's actually no new sales data on this book since then. I mean, yeah, $11 before I even made the list. So did not move really based on that. If you do look at 9/8 on the Go Collect website, they don't offer an average on it, but the last sale was $200 back in 2016. So there you go. That's way before the scope of the list, but there you go. And when we look at comicspriceguide.com, graded 9/8, $25, near mint $4. Overstreet Access has this as a null value on this one. So when we go look at eBay sold listings, there is a first print, hard to find, which I mean, that might be a little true. I don't see much sales data for it anyway. In July for less than $30, $7.50 on one that ended in an auction. All 31 issues in a set. I don't know if that's a complete set or not, but that's what they say. For $49.99, $35. Okay. So some variance here. This is one that if I saw it in a bin, I would probably grab it if it was like $5 or less, if I'm being honest here. Like, unless this gets adapted, we're not really going to see much of a bump on it. And even then, I don't know how much. So I'm still going to call that one a bust personally. But again, you saw the math. You saw the numbers. You let me know what you think in the comments down below. The next book on our list we're going to look at is New Mutants 25, the 1 in 50 art germ cover. So I got some flack for this one when I picked it. Let's see how it's done. Most common grade is a 9/8, which is totally what I would expect. There were some great covers from this book. The last sale was December 27th, 2022 for $100 that Go Collect's tracking here. So we need to go look at Raw. Raw, wow, the last sale Raw in near mint 9 to 9.4 was June 19th, 2022, not long after I made the video, for $87. One was 145 before I made the video. The lowest is 39.37. That's a huge range. There's also a 9.6 for 120 over on Go Collect. It is on their charts. $90 on a 1-year average and $67 on a 90-day average for a 9.8. And here we see, this is so, it's always weird when you see this. This is Go Collect pulling an eBay sale from June 5th, 2023. So a year later, $70 for a 9.8 for a 1 in 50. So I don't think that was really burning up the charts. Let's double check comicspriceguide.com. They say $360 for a 9.8 graded and $80 for a raw. Interesting. Overstreet Access has this one as a $20 raw book. And if we go look at eBay sold listings, you could buy it for half ratio if you were in this auction on July 14th, or buy it now for $80. That's still pretty healthy. $35 in an auction, $30. Buy it now, $48. This is going back to May, $45, $36. So plenty of opportunities. I mean, you could have got it signed by Art Germ for $240 and a 9.8, $35 raw. And that says it's a VF. And some of these are probably a little bit lower condition, but still, I don't think that's a crazy amount for that book. So yeah, I think we held again pretty strong on these. I mean, a couple of these weren't terrible investments. They wouldn't have bankrupted you if you bought them. But take that into consideration as a whole. If you were to buy all the books on all the spec lists, that's like putting a chip down on every spot on roulette when you're in Vegas. Is that a good investment? I personally don't think so. I think it's very good to pick your spec, be very careful with your selections, and go big on the ones you believe in. Speaking of believing in something, I want to take a second to thank my channel members. Their names are scrolling by on the screen right now, and you guys are awesome. Thank you for all the support. It really means a lot to me. Every one of these videos I do is done with your guys' support and help. So thank you very much for that. And also thank you for just watching this video and everything you guys want to do. If you want to go to the comments and let me know how you thought, the video went, or anything I could do better, or, which books of these you ended up picking up and for what price, all that's appreciated and welcome. Until the next time, I just want to remind you, as always, hey. Read comics every day.